Inside the X is a short newsletter every Friday designed to give you some fun right before the weekend. It'll include links to blog posts, articles, books, quotes, and recent purchases I've made. Everything is handpicked to add value to your life. To join, email entertainmentxpodcast@gmail.com.
Good morning, Vietnam!
But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward.
To infinity and beyond!
Some people without brains do an awful lot of talking, don't they?
It's classified.
You talking to me?
I could tell you, but then I'd have to kill you.
I can't fly!
Expecto Patronum!
Entertainment X.
You never know what you're gonna get.
For this episode, I sit down with Corey Camperchioli, and we have a wonderful conversation. Corey is the creator of Femme, a short film that is being turned into a TV show. His journey to creating that and the obstacles, challenges, heights, whichever word you want to use, for him to overcome have been very interesting and insightful. And this is a person who really is listening to their life and what it's saying. So I hope there's a ton that you take away from this episode, and keep on keeping on. We're back, and today with me is Corey Camperchioli. Corey, thanks for sitting down with me tonight.
Thank you for having me.
This is actually the latest I've ever had an interview for the podcast.
Ooh, I love that. A little late night special.
Yeah, a little different, right? So we're going to cover a whole bunch of stuff. Just for the people listening, I came about you through the way of Forbes 30 Under 30.
Aha.
Congratulations. I know you wanted to be on that list since you were born.
Yeah, I don't know since I was born, but what I will say is that I do like vision collages, I guess, every year. And so what I do is I make just the background of my computer a collage of goals that I want to achieve this year. And I feel like, what do you look at more than your computer? Like, you're always staring at it. So just looking at that all the time and reaffirming that. And Forbes 30 Under 30 was on it this year.
Was it really?
Yeah. So I'd like to think that I manifested that.
Why did you put it on there?
Because to me, it represents success in a lot of ways.
It does.
And I wanted that for myself.
When did you start the collage?
I guess this is my second year doing it.
Oh,
Yeah.
and you got a good batting average on it too, right?
But I think it's like a series of 9.
Okay.
So some came true, some haven't yet.
Yeah. They're on their way.
They will, yeah.
They're looking for you.
Yeah, I'm looking for them
cool.
too.
Okay, so we're going to go through a lot here in this time, but I want to start as a child growing up. What did you want to be? What did you want to do?
I always wanted to be an actor.
Yeah?
Yeah, I did.
Was there a TV show?
What, sorry?
A TV show or musical that...
That's a good question. I mean, I used to watch Bedknobs and Broomsticks. I used to watch Mary Poppins.
Yeah.
My parents would just be like, you were always singing and dancing around the house. And I remember like doing my first play when I was in kindergarten, and I was Hoot the Owl, and I had one line, and it was called Once Upon a Lily Pad, and my line was Hoot, and that was it. And I remember like I hid behind this like cardboard like grass cutout, and then I had to like sit there for the entire show, and then I came in like the last like 10 minutes, and so I was just like laying there waiting for my part, and then I popped up and I was like, Hoot, bitch. Not bitch, but hoot.
Yeah, but
and
bitch.
I got the bug, and I just it was so exhilarating, and I'll never ever forget that energy and like the sense memory of that moment.
Yeah.
And I guess the rest of my career is just chasing that high.
Yeah, right. Well, you're doing a great job at it. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in New Jersey, in central Jersey, Bridgewater. So yeah, always close to the city, and kind of just really always wanted to go to New York. And I remember this moment of my second grade teacher. She was like talking about New York, and I had never been to New York yet, but obviously it's like close. And she like looked at me and she was like, you are going to love New York. And I feel like it was her way of like seeing me as this like little like femme gay boy and just being like, you're going to find your people in New York City. That's another like moment I'll never forget.
How old
just
were you?
like second grade. And just like, and like not, obviously not understanding what that meant in the moment, but like thinking back, like that was just such a like pivotal moment of being like, New York just has always been this beacon of like where I felt like I've always been destined to go and to be.
Well, welcome.
Yeah.
You've been
Well,
here
I've been here for 10
minute.
years.
10 years, right?
Yeah, I'm an official New Yorker now.
What did your parents teach you about work ethic?
Ooh, wow. About work ethic. My dad, I love both my parents. My dad really instilled in me a lot of life lessons through sports. I played sports growing up, and my dad was always my coach. And my dad really taught me to think of things positively at all times. So when I was playing basketball, before I did a free throw, every time he would say, Corey, you know, dribble it, envision it going in before you take that shot. And that's how I was always taught to think through things and to visualize it. And he would always have me read books like he always had me read Who Moved My Cheese. It's basically this story about, it's like this parable about these mice.
Right.
And the mice, every day they have this cheese, and every day they go back to it and eat it. And then they're two mice. And then one day the cheese is gone. And the one mouse just spends the entire time just lamenting and complaining about the fact that his cheese is gone. And the other mouse is like, fuck it, I'm going to find the next cheese. Bitch. And I don't know. I've never really actually thought through that. But yeah, he's always instilled in me, be positive, envision what you want to happen, see it, feel it. What does it feel like? And I think college is always like a jarring experience, like being around so many different people. And I think like one of a huge differences I saw was just like the way that people were raised to think just like impacts the rest of their life, and your voice and your mind is the one thing that's always going to be there. And it's like your inner roommate. Someone told me that your mind is like your inner roommate, and like, would you want to live with that person? Would you want to live with a person that's putting you down all the time, that's telling you that you suck, that you're not worthy? And I think it is a muscle, and positive thinking is such a muscle. And I've seen people really try to build up the positive muscle, and I just feel like I was so incredibly lucky that like that was my ground zero. Like that's what I was taught to do.
It makes all the sense in the world to me.
Yeah.
So then fast forwarding a little bit to college.
To college, yes.
That experience, what was that like? And what were you discovering about yourself as a performer?
Yeah.
Towards the end of college?
Totally. I mean, my dream was always to go to NYU. Like I always really wanted to go there. And I got to NYU when I was 18. When I look back on that, it's just kind of crazy, like to be in New York by yourself at 18.
It's a lot.
It's a lot, totally. And it was the first time that I was living my life as an out gay man as well. It wasn't something that I had hid growing up, but it was the first time in New York that I was like, this is me. And also what's interesting too is like a lot of the mental, I mean, I had like very bad OCD in high school. And I moved to New York and like lived my authentic self, and like all of that stuff just like washed away, and like all of the like obsessive compulsive of like washing my hands and double checking to make sure that the car was locked and the garage was shut, and like all those things that used to consume me, I feel like were such a physical manifestation of me not living my authentic life and my authentic truth. And I'm not a doctor, but for me, those things were so inextricably linked and tied.
So you're here, and you just realize all of a sudden, here meaning New York City, and that you're like, oh, I don't feel that way anymore. I don't even think that way. Yeah. That's incredible.
Yeah. It is kind of strange and crazy.
Yeah.
But I think it's not repressing, and
Yeah. No, it's so. Do you meditate?
When I can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you have a very zen vibe about you. And I say that because like living in the present moment.
Yeah.
You know, either you're anxious or you're depressed, you're living in the past, you're living in the future. It's very difficult
Yeah.
to stay in the present moment. And to stay in the present moment, things line up.
They do.
Like exactly what you deserve,
They-
you get.
They do.
And that's
Yeah.
incredible. So when you studied, what specifically did you got a BFA?
I got a BFA in
Tisch.
drama from Tisch. So the way that Tisch's acting is set up, it's like you get placed in different studios,
Right.
which is wild. And I think back and like I got placed in Strasbourg, and I remember calling NYU and like begging them. I was like, I don't want to be in Strasbourg. Like I want to be in another studio. And
Right.
I think it was just my anxiety about starting school and moving to New York and all those things. And I felt like I was trying to control something, you know, and I was trying to control the experience. And I ended up having an amazing time at Strasbourg, learning so much. And like when I think back to the trajectory of my career, you know, I met so many people that are a part of Femme through Strasbourg, and just, you know, trusting in the universe.
Was Rachel in Strasbourg?
Yes.
Okay. We'll talk about Rachel
Yeah.
soon. People will know who she is, I'm sure. Did you have expectations graduating from college for particular musical theater, TV, film? Was there like what you wanted?
So I always sang growing up and like did musical theater growing up, but I always loved acting because I did something called forensics, which is speech and debate. And so basically in forensics, I got to pick a 10-minute monologue that I would compete around the state in, and it was acting. And so I could take any play that I wanted and I would cut it down to like a 10-minute version, and I would play all the characters.
Oh, shoot.
And so I did Assassins my sophomore year of high school, but I did the last scene between John Wilkes Booth and Lee Harvey Oswald.
All right.
And then I did a Woody Allen one my junior year. And then senior year, I did I Am My Own Wife. And that was really cool because that was the first time I was playing an openly queer character. And that was really beautiful for me. But acting has always been like my love. And I guess like I just always did theater, musical theater as well, because it was a chance for me to get on stage and do that.
Right.
But I always knew that I didn't want to do musical theater, but I still kind of did musicals in college. So I did a show my senior year of college, and when I look back, so many talented people were in that cast. It was Jelani Aladdin, who's in Frozen right now, Molly Jobe, who's in Waitress, Dimitri Moyes, who's in Book of Mormon, and like all these crazy like you know, it was just such a there was so much talent on that stage.
Right.
But I remember looking around and being like, I just really don't want to do musical theater. Like this is just not for me.
Why?
I can fake singing, but I was never the best at it. And I just think singing is such a gift of like you have it or you don't. And like you can work and like you can fake it. But at a certain point, I was never going to open my mouth and people were going to like, you know, faint from how beautiful my voice was. And I just knew that it wasn't in the cards for me.
Okay.
But I have such respect for musical theater performers. Like that gift is just beyond. Like it's such an immediate gift to be able to sing and like have people just like, you know, which acting is also rewarding, but it's less of an immediacy of it. It's like you don't like say a line and people are like, oh my God, like not the first thing, you know what I mean?
Right.
There's
When
just
you
a
hear
different
that tone from someone
immediacy.
singing,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, oh.
So I
know.
graduated knowing that I wanted to do acting.
Okay.
So my sort of trajectory in NYU, I did 2 years at Strasbourg, a year just doing classical, doing Shakespeare all year, which was awesome. And like it was very interesting. Sorry if I'm going like too deep into this.
No, please.
Like Strasbourg.
We have time.
Strasbourg is like all about like your own personal experience and like digging up memories of things that have happened to you and basically like making it real in the moment. So like if we're having like if I'm doing an interview on stage, like I could do a sense memory of this room right now and do it on stage so that I'm actually acting like I would like I had when I did an interview with you.
Right.
So just pulling from your experience, and then classical, it was all about like get something from the other person and actions, and that was so exciting for me. And then I did my last year in Stone Street, which was film and TV, and that's where I like really fell in love. I loved camera work. I loved that everything could be so small. I loved the intimacy of it. Also from a career perspective, I felt like that was the best chance that I had of supporting myself as an actor. But I also, like, I did a lot, we learned a lot there, and I would meet agents and like everyone was like, yeah, you're really great, but like no one really wanted to work with me. And I feel like in theater, there was an avenue of being like, if I go to EPAs or like I wasn't equity yet, but like if I
Crash an EPA.
if I crash
go
and
to an
like
ECC,
and
yeah.
like at least I can get seen. Whereas
Right.
like the film and TV world was just like so crazy to me because like to even get into the room you have to have an agent, which I didn't have. So I always knew that film and TV was the direction that I wanted to go. But when I graduated college, I did get my equity card actually right after I graduated.
Doing what? If you don't mind me
I
asking.
worked at a theme park.
Come on.
Yeah, and got my equity card
It's a
there.
good way to get it.
It was great.
Theater works,
it was
theme parks,
great.
people.
Yeah,
ASAP.
it was awesome.
Yeah.
I was so lucky to have that happen and I had a great experience. And
Right.
then I came back and sort of like hit the EPA scene hard, but it definitely is a grind. And like, yeah, it's a grind and it's exhausting getting up early every day. And it was before they did the online sign-ins. And so like, it was just every morning up and at 'em at those EPAs and like sometimes getting seen, sometimes not. And,
How did you keep yourself positive during that time? Was it seeing the ball in the basket? Was it repeating phrases?
yeah, I think now that I'm like getting a little bit of traction and people are starting to like take me seriously in a way that I've always craved.
Right.
I look back and I was like, I just always had an unshakable knowledge that I was going to make it. And like, and I know it sounds like stupid, but like, I don't know. And I think the hardest part is to keep that when no one else sees it in you.
Oh my God. Yeah.
But like, you just have to know for yourself. And like, I think I always knew the end goal, but I never knew the path to get there. And I think that like, that's never our job to know the path. Like, just know the end and like know what your dreams and your goals are, and then just like pay attention along the way.
It's like, don't worry how you get there.
Yeah, just
but know what you want.
be open to roundabout ways that the universe presents you achieving your dream. Because I think the thing that was most sobering for me and really changed my path the most was maybe 3 years ago. I had been out of college for 4 years. I had worked a little bit, but like really couldn't take my career to the next level. Like it just wasn't getting there. And like, I think I had a sobering.
I'm so sorry to
Please.
jump in. I'm going to be doing it. But I'm going to do it. Did you have an agent at that point? And were you now getting seen for things, but you were getting the same BSE answers?
So I did a show in Brooklyn. I did The History Boys,
Okay.
which is one of my, like, such an incredible play. An agent saw me, wanted to, like, represent me, basically. And then that was, like, I played a gay character. And then they had asked me to bring in another monologue or scene. And I brought in another queer character. And the feedback was like, why would you ever do 2 gay characters? Like, I already know that you can do that. Why would you ever do that? And basically, like, they went on to say, like, if you're not going to work if you're too gay. And
Yeah.
And that was, like, super devastating to me. I just remember leaving that meeting and just like hysterically crying and calling my mom, and like I'll never forget like where I was. I was in Union Square and just bawling of just being like, what do I do? Like I don't think I had the language to say this yet, but like it is important for me to tell queer stories, and like I want to be able to be me, but I also want to have a career. And that's kind of where making my own work came into the picture. Was it that? Because it was that, but then it was also, I just had like a sobering moment where I literally was like, if you keep on the path that you're on, your dreams aren't going to come true. So you need to pivot. You need to try something new, because I know the end, but where you're going now is not going to lead you there, you know? And I mean, like, universe-wise, I was in a relationship that was not good for me. It was long distance to London. Like, I was in a relationship that wasn't good for me. I didn't like my day job. I wasn't auditioning. And, like, it was a lot of leveling with myself of being like, listen, you're not auditioning. And that's okay, but don't trick yourself into thinking that you're auditioning, because you're not. You know? And that's fine. Yeah. But like then let's go a different way. Right. And I think, and so what happened, like universe-wise, which is crazy, I booked a plane ticket to visit my boyfriend at the time, who was living in London, and we had met when he was here, and like, you know, I developed this really great, intense relationship, and I bought a ticket to visit him in Berlin, and I was like so excited. I think that was the one thing in my life that I was like looking forward to and felt like happy and positive about. Right. And I go to the airport, I give them my passport, and they're like, you're not going on that plane. They're like, your passport expires in 2 months, and you need to have 3 months in order to visit Germany. And so I was like devastated. It was like the one thing I was looking forward to, the one thing I felt like I had positive in my life, and like
freaking paid for it. Literally
paid for the whole. Yeah.
Like you paid for it. You deserved it. You thought, right?
And
oh
I
my
think
God,
that
that's
was like
telling.
a really dark moment of being like, and I had been doing like sort of like spiritual work as far as like just paying attention to the universe. And I did this class called Create with Natalie Roy and Kristen Hange, and I don't know, it's just about like the universe and being an artist and having a community and all these great things. And I just remember being like so devastated, but saying like, if I don't take this moment and this opportunity to really take stock of my life, then all that fiasco would have been for naught. Like, what is the lesson that the universe is trying to teach me? Because never in my life have I experienced so much of a do not pass, like concrete,
go straight to
physical
jail, do not pass.
Manifestation of the universe being like, nope,
oh my God.
And so like I really was like, okay, let's take stock of things. This relationship is bad. I'm in a not bad. This relationship is not healthy for me. I'm at a day job that I hate, and I'm not auditioning. So I was like, it's time to just make a change and make some changes. So we broke up. Right. I quit my day job, and like pretty much decided to do Femme.
Okay. So wow.
Yeah.
I know 5 people going through this exact thing right now.
Yeah.
So that's like,
Good.
it's very powerful
Good.
what you're saying. And I'm so glad because they listen to this.
Good.
So you sharing this is going to help
I'm glad.
people.
Yeah.
I just want you to know that
Good.
as we continue on.
Good.
Okay, so Femme.
Yeah.
This thing happens at the airport.
Yeah.
You go back home. And you decide to go through all these changes. Did you logistically have money saved from quitting your day job? Did you find a new day job?
Yes. I'm still at a day job.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, it's important. It's always so. As soon as I graduated, I took a job in tech, and I've sort of been in that field ever since, because I was horrible at waiting tables, and I literally couldn't do it. And I have so much respect for people who can, because I got so overwhelmed and like would cry and like literally couldn't do it.
Same.
And so I was like, I have to find another job that can support me that's not waiting tables because I just can't do it. And so I got into sort of the tech space. And
That's awesome. What do you do?
yeah, so I worked at ZocDoc
Okay.
for 5 years. And then I left that and I went to another job at First Dibs, which is like antiques and fine art. And I'm at a company called Clear right now, which is like biometrics and biometric security.
Yeah.
So it's not like I like quit my job and was like, I'm not making, like I'm
Right.
leaping, because I still haven't done that yet. And that's actually my own thing, like financial
Stability. Yeah.
is actually the one thing that I think enabled me to make Femme and like have a career and have Femme be successful, because it allowed me to like have paid vacation time so that I could travel with Femme. Because I was working like 40 hours a week always since I graduated, like I never got into a scary position where I had to feel like I had to do something out of necessity to survive, but I feel like that was such an integral part of my story, is always having a day job that was outside of like serving, because I'm
Yeah.
also like, I'm someone that very much needs needs routine. So it's kind of been nice for me to be working 9 to 5 for the past 6 years.
Yeah.
It's given me stability, and it's also work that I like. So I don't know, I have such a complicated relationship with it, but in retrospect, like I needed that all the way through in order to make Femme happen.
I love that you're sharing this, because it demystifies what is going on
Yeah.
in Hollywood or
Yeah.
in our storytelling. And the thing is, when like you get covered by like a news outlet or something, it's like he was nobody, he was on the street, and now he's made it.
No.
And they never talk about the fact
in
that
between.
people had
Yeah.
a whole bunch of stuff going on and still do
Yeah.
to keep themselves squared away at their level, what they need to be, what that security is, what
Yeah.
your definition. Everyone has a different definition of it.
Yeah.
So for you to do that, I just think that's great.
And like also like, I mean, social media is fake. It's
Is it?
not real.
It is?
And like,
Yeah.
I mean, part of like what I'm trying to do with Femme is like really to like celebrate my successes on social media, because I know that a lot of young queer people are watching me, and I want to show them that it's possible. And like, I've been very deliberate in the way that I'm sort of using social media and using this like weird platform that is growing, and like I don't
Right.
whatever, but
Oh, that's good, because some people are completely, my
but-
life is Barbados and great.
But what I will say is like, people are like, wow, I guess like people don't necessarily think or know that I'm still at a day job, 8:30 to 7, Monday through Friday, and then doing Femme. Like it doesn't look that way in social media, and like not that I'm intentionally doing that, but I think it is important to acknowledge like I'm still not at that place where I'm ready to like jump and like
Yeah. The social definition of making it.
yeah.
I used air quotes for
Yeah.
the people who cannot see.
Yeah.
But there's that weird kind of like, I understand what you
Yeah.
mean. Femme.
Yeah.
So you were just, okay, I'll let you answer this question. How
Sure.
specifically did it come about? Was this a year of journaling, 6 months of journaling? What was it that prompted it? When did you, so how long was that? And then when was the deciding moment to be like, okay, screw it, I got to write this thing?
Yeah. So it was all these different factors. It was like Berlin, day job, that kind of thing on one side, like
Right.
not getting auditions, people saying that I'm too gay, like all of those things. And then like another practical component was I went out to LA to do a pilot called Undergrads, which one of my best friends, Melissa Lehman, brought me onto, and the producer's name was Benno Rosenwald, and he sort of saw something in me when we were shooting, and was like, basically said that he was figuring out his path in the entertainment industry as well, and thought he wanted to get into managing, basically. So he was like, let me manage you for a little bit. And I was like, that was really transformational for me, because it was the first time I've ever had like representation that saw me for who I was. But he kept trying to pitch me, like no one knew what to do with me. Everyone said I was too specific, and we just really weren't getting anywhere. And it was, I think, a good learning lesson for him, because I think he realized he didn't want to go into management. He really wanted to be a producer, and is a fantastic producer. But he said to me, he was like, Corey, he was like, no one knows what to do with you. You need to write your story, and if you write your story, I will produce it. So that was super transformational for me, for someone to like look me dead in the eye and be like, A, your story is worth telling. Like, he's also a gay man as well, like gay man to gay man, like your story is worth telling. And like, I'll make it happen, you know? Because I think so much of the hard part is being like, yeah, I have this idea, but like logistically, how do I bring it to life?
Yeah.
So like, I personally needed someone to say, A, you're valid, your story's worth telling, and like, we can make it happen, because I'd seen him do it with this pilot that he had just done before.
Yeah.
So then I sort of took some time to really get still and figure out what it is that I wanted to write about and what my story really was. And for me, I did that through morning pages, and journaling. And I would just do morning pages where I would just do a brain dump every morning of like 2-3 pages, not censoring anything, just allowing whatever it was to come out on the page.
Yeah.
And which is an exercise in the artist way for anyone who hasn't read it, which is incredible. And I just kept coming back to these ideas of gender and gender performance and worth and self-love. And I just kept coming back to the fact that like I truly felt like I was unworthy, and that like my femness and my gayness made me unworthy. And so that was like probably a year of journaling maybe.
Okay.
And then I sort of, once those things keep coming up and coming up and coming up, there is this moment of like, shit or get off the pot, of like, are you really going to do this? Because you talked about it yesterday and the day before and the day before, and there's written record of it. Like,
historically
it's, like,
accurate.
Literally
we can
right
see
here.
what,
Like I can point to it.
Right.
And so I then wrote Femme.
Yeah. So what was the logistics behind that? Were you like, okay, all right, I need to write this. Let me figure out how to write.
I've always been interested in writing.
Okay.
I've always written a lot of poetry.
Okay.
And right out of college, I wrote a play called 3, which was at Manhattan Rep.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've always wanted to write, but I never wrote anything like personal. Like that story, the play that I wrote was about a threesome, a straight couple having a threesome and negotiating the terms of the contract of having a threesome. So like at that point, I had never been in a relationship. I was not straight. Like it was none of my personal experience. So this is the first time ever writing about myself and my story. I'm trying to think, I guess, how I did that.
Yeah. How did you figure out like formatting?
I watched some short films that were like making the festival circuit. I remember watching Actresses, which is a really great short film. That's also queer, and just sort of like seeing certain structural things that were happening, and then just going through draft after draft after draft. And Ben was really helpful in sort of guiding that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have this thing created.
I have the script. Yeah.
Down.
Written.
And are you making trips now to LA, or is this all over the phone? He's coming to you?
Yeah, it's all over the phone. Yeah.
That's incredible.
He still lives there, and yeah, we're still working together, and it's just phone calls weekly.
So he says to you, "Hey, if you write this, I'll produce it." It takes you a year, thereabouts.
Yeah.
Roughly.
Yeah, that feels right.
Get that together for him, and he was like, "Great, let's get to work."
Pretty much. Yeah. And
I know I didn't ask a question. I just said part of it.
Yeah, no. Yes, correct.
So whatever you have to add to that. And then, so is this when the whole crowdfunding.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
Okay, great. We're on the same page.
Yeah, we're on the same page. So
Great.
Yes, that's where crowdfunding came into it. We went with Kickstarter.
Yeah.
And I mean, something that I will say is I wrote this script aspirationally in the fact that like I really did not love myself, and I wanted to write a story about a person learning to love themselves and who loves themselves because of their femness and not in spite of their femness, because that's what I wanted for myself. So like I still had major hangups with the word femme and major baggage. So the thought of releasing a campaign that is centered around this word that I have so much shame about was very difficult for me. I remember many times where I didn't tell my parents what it was about. I didn't tell my parents what it was about until about a week before we launched our Kickstarter, because I was nervous about how they were going to react. I had my own personal hangups with it. So like people had known that I was working on something, but I never told anyone what it was about or what it was called.
Was that difficult?
Yeah. Yeah. And like, I just remember like almost having a panic attack like before we launched, because I was like, now this word is going to be inextricably tied to me. It's going to live on the internet forever, whether we're a big success or whether we're not. This is always going to be tied to me in some way. And it's a word that I still didn't love yet. So I like almost didn't go live with it, but we did press the button. At this point, Alden Peters, who's our director, had came on board, and that's another like universe story. We met at a warehouse party in Bushwick. He told me about his film. I was like, oh, cool. We friended each other on Facebook. 2 years go by. We're looking for a director for Femme. And I was like, oh, what about that guy, Alden? Reached out to him, had drinks with him, immediately knew that he was the right person for the project before I even saw any of his work. I was like, yeah, you're the person for this. Hadn't seen anything he's done. And like, it's in retrospect, it's stupid, but I just knew. Like, I knew from his conversation that he understood what I was trying to do. He had just come off of doing a feature documentary, which is all about coming out, and I just knew. So he came on board and was incredibly helpful about guiding this Kickstarter process, because he had done it before with his feature documentary coming out. Wow. So there was that component. There was also the knowledge of saying like, this has to be bigger than my story, and how do we make this into something bigger, and it not only be about me, but give other people the opportunity to talk about femme and gender roles. And so we came up with the hashtag Free Your Femme, which has been sort of a cornerstone of our entire process of being like, this is my story, but I want everyone else to be able to tell their story as well and feel empowered to tell their story. So we asked people to share their experiences around the word femme using the hashtag Free Your Femme. So that was like all like going into the Kickstarter. Another cool thing was like this artist, Hey Rooney, who I've been obsessed with for so long, and he's done a lot of work surrounding like owning the word femme. He came on to do the graphics, so we had this really nice like pink graphic, and he did a lot of like the branding of what is the Femme brand, which I think has been really helpful. And like now people saying like, I see the word femme and I know exactly it's you because of the branding and the artistry that Hey Rooney did. And so like really trying to be cognizant of all these different pieces. Like Kickstarter is the hardest thing in the world. It's a full-time job. I mean, like for anyone who's doing a Kickstarter right now, I'd have like a couple pieces of advice. The first is like attach it to a larger thing. Like what is the message that you're trying to get out there, because that's what attracts people, and also attracts press as well, if you're able to tie it into a larger issue that people can write about. And like immediately once we went live, we got a lot of press. Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but another thing is like having all of the work for the Kickstarter done before you go live. So that we used a platform called oh man, what was it called? Streak.
Okay.
Which basically you can plan out emails and like have everything ready to go.
Yeah.
And then you hit send and it blasts all these emails out, because basically like you want to have everything good to go by the time you launch. Because
Yeah.
also there's something with the Kickstarter algorithm where the people who get the most funding in the beginning get higher in the Kickstarter algorithm. So it's important to get people very early on in your thing. So like reaching out to a couple people and having them commit to being like, can you please donate like within the first couple of minutes of this going live? And also something I learned is like people want to be a part of a winning project, you know? So like getting that traction early.
I got
Sorry,
a lot of questions
I'm
for
sorry.
you.
I'm going deep.
No, this is
Like-
this is exactly where every
Okay.
episode goes. So I'm
Cool.
really excited about this. How did you get better at asking? Was it difficult? Was it ever difficult?
It was understanding my own worth and feeling like yes, it was tied to my worth and knowing that I'm enough. But I also think it's tied to pitching it as an opportunity. And I felt it was very important for me to never say like, please give me money. It was like, this is your opportunity to be a part of something bigger. This is your opportunity to make a statement as far as gender roles, gender performance within the queer community and beyond. This is your chance to really make a difference. And like we were very upfront with our goals, which is really crazy because we really did like do them all, which was like, I want to tell my story. I want to travel the world with this film and encourage other people to be able to free their femme as well, which is like, it's crazy.
It's
like
what?
that's what we did.
Yeah.
But like presenting it not as an ask, but as an opportunity.
Did someone teach you that, or did you just know that?
I think I saw it actually on like a YouTube video for like how to do a successful Kickstarter.
Freaking love it. The
Yeah.
internet is an incredible place.
Yeah.
I was talking about this today with someone else as well. It's like when I say to you, like, hey, Corey, can I get $10,000 for a project? You'd be like, yeah, a lot of people need that.
Yeah.
But if I say it's going to change people's lives,
Yeah.
you have much more interest in being a part of
Absolutely.
it, which is what was happening with your Kickstarter.
Absolutely.
How long was the Kickstarter? How much were you looking for? How much did you get? Whatever
Yeah.
you're allowed to disclose with
Of
any
course.
of that.
Yeah. I mean, our goal was $10,000. We made $10,000 in 28 hours and went on to make 25,000. It was wild. It like really took off in a way that I had hoped, but had no idea that it would get as big as it was so quickly.
Yeah.
And for me, it was kind of jarring in that like all of a sudden I had eyes on me and like had internet trolls within like a day.
Yeah.
Like it was very crazy, that kind of shift.
Okay. So, okay.
And then like doing press
Yeah.
about a film that like I haven't even made yet. Like that was kind of weird too. Like people wanting to talk to me about this and like different outlets. Like I did an interview with Huffington Post like right afterwards.
Yeah.
And it was kind of interesting to be like,
They find you.
they find you. And I'm so thankful that
Yeah.
they did. But it was kind of strange to be like talking about a project that hasn't been made yet. It was kind of
And you
weird.
don't have a PR agent. You're
Yeah,
like,
oh, yeah.
How do I talk about
Yeah.
this in the best light?
Yes.
Okay. So what was I going to ask you? We had the Kickstarter. How long was the Kickstarter? How long was the whole thing?
30 days. That's usually how it.
About
how long
30.
It is.
Yeah, it was 30 days.
It
Okay.
was just a crazy couple month. It was a crazy month.
Yeah. That's so crazy.
Yeah.
So then what was the self-talk you used to convince yourself this story was worth telling? I know we're rewinding now. Was there self-talk?
Yeah. Yeah. I think for me it was rooted in like understanding the problem of being like the reality of the problem of the fact that I would go on these gay hookup apps and see no femme and mask only all the time. And the fact that agents were telling me that I was too gay. Like for me, it was kind of like a fake it till you make it of being like, I have to be that person of empowerment because I don't want the next kid that's graduating from Tisch to feel like, or whatever, trying to be an actor,
Right.
that they can't make it because they're gay and are proud of who they are and
Right.
behave in a certain way.
Right.
So for me, it was kind of always like the end game of like for the people behind me and like faking it, you know? And
Yeah.
like now I think I have caught up to the fact that like it's not faking anymore, but that whole couple months was just like really presenting in a confident way, and that becomes a muscle that then becomes your new normal,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. I do.
Because there
I
is
know.
like a lot of imposter syndrome that goes on as well.
They're gonna find me out. They're gonna
Of
figure me
course,
out. Everyone's
of
gonna
course.
figure. I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
How did you deal with the trolls? How do you?
I think.
Do you have rules?
I think. I heard a quote that's like, the size of the reaction is equal to the size of the wound, and like that kind of spoke to me. Where it's like, if people aren't getting angry about it, then it's not something that is deeply scarring to them, or like is a topic that needs to be discussed.
Mm-hmm.
So I try not to take it personally. But it's hard. Like, this film is it's me, you know, like it's my story. It was hard in the beginning, but now it's just, if people aren't upset, then I'm not doing something right.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
It's so true.
Yeah.
At one point did you reach out to like get Johnny on the project and like Rachel? Like, when did these more pieces start to come together?
Yeah. So Rachel went to NYU with me. I've known her since I was 18. The most beautiful angel gem of a human that you'll ever meet in your entire life.
Yeah.
So we launched the Kickstarter. At that time, she had just finished shooting the pilot of Maisel, and she reached out to me and was like, I'm obsessed with Femme. How can I be a part of it? And I was like, we can make that happen.
I got a spot for you.
So she came on to executive produce the short,
Yeah.
which has just been the dream. And to see her star rise so quickly, knowing that it has been years and years and years and years of hard work, has been so inspirational to me. Like, Rachel sort of like started in the auditioning path like a little earlier, and so like when we were in college, I remember her, like, it was so difficult for her to like be full-time at NYU and also like full-time auditioning. Like, she was down to the end for like so many roles, and I remember just like talking to her and her being like, it was just down to this person and me, and like it didn't go her way, and she just kept on doing it, kept on doing the thing, and her perseverance, coupled with her extraordinary talent and her like generosity of spirit, I think has just like catapulted her. But that too did not happen overnight.
Yeah.
On the contrary, has been so many years in the making, and she has just been so generous with me as far as just helping me up and dragging me up with her, and dragging all of the other people that we went to school with, helping them along the way. And she now has this platform, and I had a conversation with her, and she was like, you know, one of the best gifts of this platform that she has is being able to, she said, like, to shine light on other people. And it's just like, I could cry talking about how she's changed my life and what she's done for me, as far as like my own worthiness and feeling like my story was worth telling, and then just logistically helping me through these things. Like, I remember calling her when all those trolls were like really happening, and you know, and her sort of talking me through that, and her talking me through the logistics of, you know, I've never done anything like this before, and to have her as like a fairy godmother, if you will, has just like been so incredible for me. And she's just so generous, like with the platform she's given, like spreading the love. And she just comes from such a place of abundance, of being like, I want to help those around me. And I think there are two types of people who live in scarcity and people who live in abundance. And like, she just lives in abundance. And I cannot wait to do for someone else what she has done for me, because she has completely changed my life.
It's so fascinating that abundance really does beget abundance.
Absolutely.
The more you give, the more you get
Get.
and give. But the less you give, the less you get.
Yes.
It's like scarcity begets scarcity.
For me, I think it's like the energetic thing of tightening. I think of scarcity as like tightening.
Yeah.
And I think of abundance as far as ease, you know? And
Yeah.
and another thing of like why I like my day job is I'm in a completely another career, like parallel career.
Yeah.
And so like if things aren't going hot acting wise, like then I focus on my career, like my like tech career, and like
Right.
there's less of a desperation and like a scarcity there, because it's more like just trusting and abundance. I don't know. That was kind of off topic, but yeah.
No, this is perfect though.
Yeah.
Because the less you, like when you enter a room, for whatever reason, you're finding people to finance something or whatever, you want a job, you're auditioning for it, people can smell thirst.
Energetically, sit back.
Yeah.
Like,
You
don't
just take it in.
because I think for me that knowledge is like I'm enough, as like leaning back, leaning into the fact that you're enough, as opposed to like this manic energy of like accept me, this energy of tightness.
I need it.
That is not attractive in career, you know, whatever, relationships, everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how Rachel came into
I love that.
the picture and onto the project.
I love that.
Yeah.
And you
she's a
guys were
gem.
friends. You were tight
Yeah.
in school too.
Yeah.
What? Okay, so let's talk about relationships in the industry, because I
Sure.
know like technically, you know, like the theater industry is a very small community. It's a very small community. Film and television, entertainment as a whole.
Yeah.
You know, what have you learned thus far in relationships?
The best
Is that a
advice
loaded question?
I ever got was be pleasant and be present. And like, I think that's it.
That's it.
Like, that's the secret of just just being nice to everyone. Like, and being in the present moment. Like, it sounds really stupid, but just people want to work with people that they like.
Yeah.
And so be kind, because you never know someone's trajectory. You never know where someone will be, if they'll be in a position where they can help you or you can help them. So like, instead of just being nice to the people that you think you can get something for, just be nice to everyone and watch as good things come in. Like, and also I feel like it is about relationships, because like, I feel like with the Kickstarter, it was kind of like you get one ask in a lot of ways. And it's like just be nice and have these relationships, and then people are more willing to help you out because they like you and they want to see you succeed. And like, that's, I think, the coolest thing that's come from this is being like, I'm the luckiest person in the world that like, I feel like I have people around me that genuinely want success for me and want me to do well, and vice versa. Like, when I think about my graduating class of NYU, it's insane. 3 of the people on Forbes 30 under 30 in entertainment in Hollywood were in my year. It was me, Rachel, and Bowen Yang, who we all went to NYU together. Like, you know, my friend Dave Mazzoni is killing it in comedy. Matt Rogers and Bowen Yang. Sudi Green is doing SNL. Like, it's just like all of this crazy talent. Carly Famalon's doing casting, and like we have producers, and like if we were all like jealous of one another, that doesn't serve anyone. But I think it's just really this thing of like, we're all on the rise together, and like together we rise. And like, if I can help you there, I will. And if you can help me there, you will. And like, I don't think it's an NYU thing. I think it's just like
a good person thing.
Just like people, it's a community thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's my personal advice.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And then, okay, so, and we're going to continue to jump around here.
Okay.
You reached out to Johnny
Yeah.
on Instagram?
I did. Yeah. I was
You were like, who's going to be right for the role?
Yeah.
Him. Shoot him a message. DM.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. I was just like, I'm obsessed with you.
freaking love it.
Like, I think you're the funniest person ever.
Yeah.
Like, would you read the script and let me know what you think?
And here we are.
And
Ipso facto.
and he did, and he had these hysterical videos where he would play different. He does where plays different characters, and so for the scene, I asked him to put himself on tape, and I asked him to play both parts, and he did, and it was genius and hilarious. And I was like, we have to work with him, and
Yeah.
he's gone on to be on Pose, and he's slaying
That
the
little
game.
ditty.
That little show. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of it. It's called Pose.
Oh,
Yeah,
Lord.
But he's also a person who is incredibly generous of spirit, and like he'll always post about Femme and any project that he's doing, and shine light on voices that are not heard, and empower people to tell their stories. Like he's the real deal as well.
Wow.
I'm really lucky that all of these people are just so kind, and like, I don't know, I just had the best experience making Femme.
Do you think it's a coincidence?
No. I think energetically,
You attract it.
yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it feels weird saying that, but then I also don't, Like
Yeah,
it's always weird to be like, yeah, I attracted that. But I do feel like I did.
Yeah.
And I think it's like putting out what you want to see.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and it's so funny because you can list for days sayings, get more flies with honey, all this stuff. Like, there's so many, but it's
But
true.
they're all true.
Every single one of them's true.
And that's the biggest thing, where it's like the mindset shift of being like, oh, it's such a simple shift, and it literally changes everything. Everything.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite story of life happening for you?
I'm on it.
Yeah.
Just
I mean, we've been talking about it probably for the last 45
yeah,
minutes.
this is my story of life.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just incredible when you're on the right path, how things completely out of your control will be literally dropped in front of you.
I feel like once you make a commitment to the universe that you want to do something, the universe conspires to make it happen.
Once you make a commitment to the universe to do something,
Yeah.
the whole universe conspires to help you.
Yeah.
Is that from The Alchemist?
It might be.
I love that. No, Alchemist, I think it is in The Alchemist.
Yeah.
It's not that it's
Yeah.
from it. That's so true. Oh my God. Okay. As we're working our way towards the end here.
Yeah.
Books, most gifted books.
I loved Perks of Being a Wallflower growing up. Me and my friends in high school had one copy, and we would pass it around, and we would all have different highlighters, and we would highlight the parts that spoke to us. I love Just Kids by Patti Smith.
Okay.
It's just her story of New York, and so beautiful. I loved the Steve Jobs biography.
Mm-hmm.
So many life lessons there. I like Michael Singer.
Yeah.
I love poetry. Frank O'Hara is my number one poet, and like his stuff is just all about the day to day. So he would write his poetries. He was gay in New York in the 50s, and he would just write lunch poems, and he would just like be on his lunch break and just like notice the things in the city and just like string it together and write a poem. And like that just helped me so much as far as like being in the moment and like trying to take things in New York, and like realizing that the little things become the big things, and you know, like how I interact with this microphone can be indicative of how I interact with larger life things, and just it's all in a way that's super accessible, and it's not super flowery. He's my number one. He's like he's my biggest inspiration across like any medium, I think. Acting, singing, writing. He's my number one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the name of the Two Mice book?
Who Moved My Cheese?
Who Moved My
Who
Cheese?
Moved My Cheese? Yeah. My dad also, Think and Grow Rich was a book that he like made me read.
At what age?
In high school.
That's a great book.
Yeah. Yeah.
Isn't that incredible? The influence you have as on you as a child, how it can affect your,
Totally.
shape your whole future.
Yeah. I think he had me read it in high school, and then I think he like gifted me a copy for my high school graduation.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Will you complete this phrase?
Yeah. Yeah.
I believe.
I believe in the universe. I believe that we were put on this earth to fill some sort of a void, and so much of the exciting part is figuring that out. Like on a tangent, but like I always felt like I was given the drive or like the skill or the want to be an actor, but I never understood why. And I think Femme, I do feel like I was put on this earth to do Femme because I think I always wanted to act, but I think I was given that talent as a conduit to tell my story.
Mm-hmm.
I never understood why I wanted to act until Femme came around. And I was like, oh, that's why. It's to tell my story. It's to empower other queer kids. It's to tell other people that they are perfect and worthy as they are.
To love themselves.
Yeah.
That's heavy.
Yeah. But also light.
Necessary.
Yeah.
And light.
Yeah.
And necessary.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Do you have a favorite failure or apparent failure that set you up for success?
I mean, I don't necessarily like the word failure. Like, I think it's more of a redirect. But I think, like, if I didn't, air quotes, fail at making it in the traditional acting career path, I never would have been forced to find my way outside of that mainstream career. And Femme would have never happened. So I'm so thankful that I didn't graduate college and book Broadway immediately and, book a TV show like I thought I would and like I hoped that I would, because I wasn't ready for it yet. And just like trusting in the timing of your life.
Yeah.
I think, like, I read a really great interview with Ann Dowd, who was a teacher at NYU. She wasn't my teacher, but she was just talking about how she didn't get like success in air quotes until she was in her 50s, and it was just like trusting the timing of your life. Yeah.
I noticed that, and I mean, it's hard not to notice that you have such a deep-rooted amount of positivity in your life.
Thanks.
Which is crucial, I think, to achieving what other people can't see.
Yeah.
What the average human says is impossible. You need to have positivity that could be considered off-putting to some.
And also, this is a silly story, but my grandpa, who's like my number one, I love him, he got like a fortune cookie or something, and it was like the odds of being an actor are making it as an actor are like 1 in 1 million. And he gave it to me, and for some reason it gave me like extreme like comfort of being like, if you don't fucking do this on your own terms in your own way, the odds are so stacked against you.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the opposite of positivity, but like I fold that up and that's still in my wallet to this day, because I think it's guided me of being like, do it on your own terms, because
you got to help yourself.
you got to do it,
You got to do it.
I don't know.
Do you have, metaphorically speaking, a word or a phrase you'd put on a billboard for millions of people to see?
Well, I guess 2. One was like, you're worthy, period. And the other is never give anyone the power to ruin your day. That has guided me from my dad. Like, my dad has always said that. And I just think energetically, it's like, if you make me mad, that's on me. That's not on you.
Wow.
You know what I mean? It's like, if I'm sitting here stewing because of something that you said, I gave you the power.
Huh.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not giving you the power to ruin my day. Are you
Yeah.
kidding me?
And how often does that happen? Do people allow that?
Yeah.
The
yeah.
MTA even.
Yeah. And obviously I'm like that. I slip on that all the time.
Yeah.
But going back to always that of just being like, don't give them the power.
Don't give them the power. This is great. Corey, this has been a wonderful, wonderful conversation.
I'm so glad.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Your generosity with time to chat about this is just incredible.
Thanks.
Where can we find you?
Yeah.
Where do you like to be found?
You can find me on Instagram at Corey Camp, CoruiCamp. You can follow Femme the Film as well on Instagram. And you can watch Femme the Film for free on Revry. That's Revry. And it's international. You can watch it anywhere in the world for free. And let us know what you think about Femme. And use the hashtag for your Femme.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is great. Corey, thank you so much. Is there anything else that you want to add before we finish up, or
No, thank you.
it's all tied with a nice bow?
Yeah, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Corey Camperchioli.
Yes.
You've been listening to Entertainment X, the podcast. You can follow Entertainment X on Instagram at _EntertainmentX_. If you haven't yet, go to Apple Podcasts and subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. Join Clay next week for another curiosity conversation on Entertainment X. Thank you for listening.